Okay. Um, there's some of you that think that you not admitting when I'm right is like some sort of strategy. I'm gonna explain to you why you're retarded, and why when you're crying, I'm not gonna care. So, there's two things happening here. We all have physical bodies, but within our being, we have the ability to have our own separate emotion and logical understanding. Now, this is why somebody can solve a problem over here and someone else can solve a problem over there. That's what the separation of logic is for, the ability to have different ideas and opinions. So, you guys are all thinking and being logical within this point and acting it out with your bodies. Now, logical equations are very simple. Logical equations would be something like, we were wrong, that means that we're illogical, so we should undo. The reason that this works as a logical structure is because in order for life or shared existence to be stable and safe, we have to follow uh, the fair logical occurrence of events as we measure them, or else our whole structure of physical occurrence becomes irrational. Meaning, if our thoughts don't lead to something logical occurring, then as a group, every time we act in a dumb way, the whole structure of what we are becomes dumb. Now, this is a state of everyone having that shared separation, still being able to do their own logical practices from a distance, while also being fair to physiological occurrence, meaning the realization that we all have bodies and what that should mean for all of our actions, regardless of how we feel. But for you guys, instead of choosing a fair logical equation, you've gone to nothing is forcing us to do this. Therefore, you're telling me that you need to lose your choice before you do the right thing. Now, what you guys are doing here is choosing irrational gratification in order to deny the fact that that's what I'm doing to you. Now, what irrational gratification is let's say you have your own apartment and you have to pay bills, and you know that it's near the end of the month, or it's the end of the month, and you've got to pay come the first of the month, and you only got so much money left, and you need to be reserving. Now, you know that you need to spend your money on the bill. However, you want to go out and go drinking during the weekend. So, the logical thing to do would be to skip drinking and save that money for the bill. But for irrational gratification, you'll still go to try and make yourself feel better despite the fact that you're still in hot shit. So you go out drinking instead, knowing that the logical thing to do was save your money for the bill. Now, this is what you guys are doing, but because there wasn't an adult around to help you guys keep track of this or to prove any of this to you, you were denying it, which is an irrational thing to do, to deny and refuse what's happening as it becomes obvious. So, once again, here's the structure of all of us abiding by the logic that keeps physical and fair current safe. And you all ended up being wrong about something while I was right, so that means that you all became more rational. You all started choosing irrational gratification. And in irrational gratification, you decided to give me concepts and traits that make you feel as if you were superior and therefore can claim to be right. For instance, isolating me, targeting me, struggling me, making a hostile environment so that I am closer to going homeless, unable to keep a job. I refuse to work with people anymore. Not able to take care of myself, so that you can say, how is he right when he's the one that can't even be healthy? He's the one he's the least organized, he's the least taking care of himself, so that means that we're right and he's wrong. And it's your little irrational gratification when you all know that you're causing this, then I'm not going to argue with that about you. See, this is what I mean by irrational gratification. That mess up there, that was a refusal and denial. That tactic you were just using was, he said it wrong. Kill. Okay, so here's what happens whenever you guys choose irrational gratification over what makes sense. The concepts that you were attacking in me, you thus attack in yourself. Because in order for it to be fair for you to do that, you have to accept that as a reality that you can experience. So, you attack my ability to take care of myself. That means that you're going to have a harder time taking care of yourself. You get told that it's not fair what you're doing, and you say so, or it doesn't matter, because physical occurrence as it is now with your irrational gratification isn't stopping you from doing me any wrong. And so you are now saying that it is completely okay to be unfair when nothing's stopping you. These are really the two things we need. Not only that, but you're combining that with the fact that you are being illogical and irrational. So that means that you're losing stable physical structure, stable mass. And so what happens is this physical occurrence that you have, as you all become irrational to avoid the consequences of your actions and mess with me, that mass that you all have, it stops being rational, it stops being fair, therefore it stops being stable. In order for you to survive, you've all have to combine y'all's irrational gratifying mindsets into a single mass that's constantly having to share, trade, and fuck in order to maintain that it's all a single brain. Because the thing is, if you are rational, you can avoid the consequences by increasing the mass that has to be interacted with before you are. Meaning, if three people are wrong, but they all put themselves together in close proximity, it means that they can all work together as a brain to prevent themselves from being caught, to keep up irrational gratification, to constantly deny it, because the mass of getting through them is now thickened by three bodies rather than one. And so you all do this as a group. You become irrational. You stop taking care of yourselves. You choose to do the wrong thing just to ignore and dismiss me for being right. And what this means is eventually, even though I can't get through the mass as a whole, I could not target and fight every single one of you on the spot. That's a fact. I don't care about that. Even if I wanted to go on a killing spree, which I'm way smarter than a killing spree. I need you to know that. You're never going to get me on one of those. That I still couldn't take enough of you out. Plus, your irrational gratification would say, see, he was the bad guy the whole time. And I'm not giving you that. So what happens is your mass, because it is still illogical due to you being illogical, starts to become reduced. Because remember, what sustains mass is logical occurrence. Not just doing things, but actually doing them logically so that mass can be protected. And so, as you all deplete your mass by being illogical and thus have to get into tighter groups as a result, your mass becomes more and more observable until I can see the entire structure of it based on each of your individual thinking. And so what this does is two things. A, I tell you guys because I like having you know what's going on. I like this. It always keeps me out of trouble because no one can say that I was being sneaky. No one can say that I was lying. No one can say that I was keeping secrets or being a little trickster, okay? And two, it means that I can observe every single thing that you're doing, whether you want to admit it or not. Because remember, you'll deny and you'll refuse, and you'll just say, well, he said it wrong. And so as we get further into you doing the wrong thing because you don't want to deal with your consequences and do the right thing for me, you become a smaller and tighter group to disorganize, just because you are already disorganized, but tightening your flesh together in order to keep yourselves from realizing it. It's kind of like this. So someone who's living at full flesh, someone who's living at full logic, let's say that that's where they are, right? If they're wrong, life doesn't take too long to show it to them. But if everybody starts being wrong, then it means that life has to chew through all of this flesh before it can get to their thinking, before it can get to the part of them that cares. So, you all stay logical. I see that for what it is. You deny it. Some of you say, well, you're not as smart as you think you are. Now that you told me, you should have kept it to yourself. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to be able to do this. But here's the thing. You can't, because you're being irrational. Any guy out there that wants to prove that I'm not as smart as I think I am, anyone that's out there seeing me in this situation and saying, I'm sick of this asshole talking like he's smarter than me, you need to understand that I'm in a self-defense, a fair situation. So if you attack me here, you're automatically the bad guy. You're going to be like one of those annoying fucking dudes that want to challenge you to a duel in the West because they heard you're a good fucking shooter. So here's what's happening. You guys are all becoming irrational, meaning you give up on the expansion of logical occurrence. So you already lose that. That means that you just go to beingness. That's what you do. You go to beingness, and because you're being irrational, it means that you're taking the information in and twisting it into what you want to see. Which means that even when I'm right, you'll just say I'm wrong and then convince yourself using irrational tactics. So what happens is I keep going. I keep adding substance to life because I'm the only one that was willing to face things and figure it out. I keep adding these structures. I keep adding substance because whether you like it or not, that part of you that's being irrational, your subconscious, your flesh still wants to survive. And so the information that I'm giving, it'll still rely on, even if it uses tricks like pretending it didn't learn from me, or pretending that it's not relying on me, or maybe just saying that just because we're doing the logical thing after you said it doesn't mean that you're right. Shit like that, right? So what happens is you all end up stuck in a structure that's made by my continuance of logic. And so as you all deny that and stop being able to actually interact with the environment around you, the substance that you have to deal with will automatically make it so if you don't do what I want, you'll collapse. And at that point, I probably won't care. It'll just look like you weren't reliving your life right. It'll look like you went out to the club to drink instead of saving up for your bills. That's what it'll look like. It won't look like I show up at your front door and I say, see, I'm that much smarter than you. No. It's just gonna look like me being good and you fucking being retarded, okay? Now, for all you guys that are saying, yeah, but you're still suffering, you're still gonna go homeless, you're still gonna die. Okay, here's the thing. If you do it, you're being irrational. That kills so many concepts for you guys that's just a loss of choice overall. You stop being logical choice and you start being physical choice. And what physical choice is pretty much the rolling of a ball. Meaning whatever direction the ball is rolling, no matter how you feel on the inside, that's where you're going. That's what you have to do now. That's what killing me does. But also, I want to tell you guys something because this was annoying me, okay? So, you guys like to do this thing where the concept that I am, the concept that really gives me innocence, the real truth, you guys like to adopt that and say that that's what you are as I'm about to not care about you being alive anymore. And what that does is it gives you permission to attack me by saying that I didn't care about that concept when you were pretending to be it, therefore that concept doesn't matter to me. Now I said this in another video, but what you guys do is you adopt my concept so that if I don't protect you, then you can claim as a group you don't need to protect me. But I want you to understand something. I don't fucking care. I've dealt with this my entire life. You have been irrational my entire life. I don't fucking care. I do not fucking care. Okay? It's over. I won. You kill me, you lost choice. You're just fucking rolling around trying to survive. You help me survive, at least you have a chance. Now, honestly, you guys are too prideful, and your irrational gratification will just try to enjoy me suffering for the time that you have left to be choosing on your own. And at this point, I mean, I still win because I've gotten so far above logic that I'm genuinely fighting a fucking time traveler, and it actually makes sense. So at this point, it is what the fuck it is. Kill yourself.